go.
Fady, what's up, man?
Nothing much, man. Enjoying our All-Star vacation, you know what I'm saying?
You know, we felt that the All-Stars got a nice little break. NBA took a break. We felt we should get one too.
Shit, if we're All-Stars, so why not?
You know what? Absolutely. Matter of fact, we're going to change the name of this. We're going to introduce ourselves as All-Stars from now on, damn it.
Hey, if we don't love us, who going to love us?
Oh, man. A lot going on since we've been away. All-Star Weekend was a success. Probably the best I remember, the best that I can remember in a long-ass time. I never watched Friday stuff.
Yeah, it depends on which portion you're talking about, because it was the dunk contest, and now that All-Star Weekend, it'll probably been the Aaron Gordon, Zach LaVine. If you're actually talking about the game, you probably got to go back to 2005 or some shit when it was Jordan and Kobe.
Probably, I was about to say, man, probably before that. It's been at least 15, 20 years since the All-Star game has been good.
Nah, that Jordan and Kobe shit went down. So, yeah, you got to respect that one. But that's like, 13 years ago or some shit? No?
Yeah, it was, 03, 02? When Jordan retired again?
I feel like it was 04, 05, something like that.
No, hell no. Jordan been 45 years old at that point.
I don't know. You just going to set me up to start shooting out dates. You know I don't give a fuck. I'm going to start making shit up.
Oh, man. So, I thought it was a great weekend. 3-point contest was awesome. The skills challenge was awesome. The dunk contest was awesome.
I'm going to tell you what, though. They got to kill that shit in the celebrity game. I watched probably 30 minutes of it. I usually have fun watching it, but they were doing some shit like every commercial break. They were playing like a game to add points. They were just doing way too much in the Celebrity All-Star. I know everybody doesn't watch it, but they need to change that. And the rookie-sophomore game, they're going to have to find a way to do international players, but also, because there's no way Kobe White should be left out, but Nickeil Alexander-Walker is playing just because he's for the world team. They got to fix 100%. That shit. So you can't say, okay, we're going to have like 8 Americans and 8, because then you start putting people that don't deserve to be on there just because they're from overseas. There was too many people left out. Like, you didn't get Sexton in there. You didn't get Kobe White in there. It's ridiculous. They have to fix that. Maybe they just go to do a draft style like the regular All-Star, but you can't have motherfuckers that don't even play just because they on the world team.
I agree. And to be fair, I didn't watch that either. So, it
was pretty interesting game for like dunking and watching Zion. It was good.
And we'll get to Zion here in a little bit. But anyway, did you feel Aaron Gordon got robbed? That's what needs to change. The dunk contest judges, just stop. Like, you know what I mean? D Wade, obviously, I could go either way. I don't feel like Aaron Gordon got robbed, but as good as Derrick Jones Jr. is, how many different variations of the between the legs dunk do we need to see? Not saying it ain't impressive, but all I'm saying is it was the same damn dunk.
That last one was stupid, though. The one not the one off the side of the backboard. So the problem with the dunk contest is you either get judges that are too lenient or too strict. You rarely get judges that have a good balance. Like, I know when they had that shit on TNT, it seemed like Shaq had a good balance when he was judging. Because you can't say, every dunk is incredible, because then if you do that, you set the standard. So I really believe that was the problem with this dunk contest. They gave them 50s when they didn't deserve 50s. And then when it comes down to actually having to judge it, because you only can go a certain amount of rounds, now you got to decide on dunks. You know what I'm saying? Now you're underscoring the dunks. So you overscore some dunks and you underscore some dunks. If you're telling me, it depends on which part you cut the dunk contest off, who won that dunk contest. It probably should have just been a draw. Because that one where Gordon caught it off the side of the backboard with one hand, that shit looked like a 2K dunk. That shit...
That might be the best dunk I've ever... It's definitely the top 3 dunks I've ever seen.
I'm not sure, because it didn't even look real. You know what I'm saying? Like, the way he caught it and the fluidness of doing the dunk... If you're judging, but the problem is I can't remember who go first, but I thought that Derrick Jones Jr. went first, so he got a 50 for his dunk, or you know what I'm saying? It was that's where it messed up right then, because if Aaron Gordon went first, I can't truly remember, he should have got a 50, and then whatever Derrick Jones Jr. did, it should not have compared. You know what I mean?
And
So
that's the thing. It's like all dunks, because that's like if there's a 50, if there's a perfect dunk, that Aaron Gordon dunk was it.
yeah, that's the
Uh,
that's the 50 dunk. So they need to quit
yeah,
fucking giving out 50s just
yep,
because. Maybe you go 49, 48,
yep.
and then for something truly incredible that we've never seen, then do a 50. Just because it's a good dunk and they jump high doesn't mean it should be a 50. So they kind of need to change the scoring where you need to really, really impress me to be a 50. Otherwise, it's
But I
48,
will say,
49.
even that Pat Connaughton dunk was hard though, where he jumped over dude, bounced off the back. I mean, I thought that was a 50.
Yeah.
I think they give him a 47 on that. Just inconsistent.
Yeah, it's just inconsistent, and that's why they need to kind of get together and say, "Hey, we're only giving 50s for something that's truly innovative and incredible." Otherwise, the baseline's 48, 49, somewhere in
Yep,
between there, and then you can truly separate people because you can still give them respect by getting 49s. The problem is if you give a dude that jumps high but it's a weak, non-innovative dunk of 50, and then I come and do something creative that's high difficulty, and you give me a 48, I'm gonna feel cheated. So at the
yep.
end. I agree. I thought Derrick Jones Jr. should have won based off that last dunk if everything's even, because I've seen 100 people dunk over tall motherfuckers, and it was just a regular two-handed dunk. It wasn't like he was small. So if you're judging off the very last dunk, then yeah, Derrick Jones should have won. But if you're judging off the whole resume, then Aaron Gordon probably wins that shit hands down.
Agreed. Um,
What do you think about three-point contest?
it was good, man. But the problem with 3-point contest is I already don't remember who won. Uh, who
Buddy
won it?
Hield. Buddy Hield
Oh,
dropped.
that's right. It was Buddy.
Yeah.
That's right.
I
I
still don't
mean,
like the fact that I feel like they slowly stealing from my man Ice Cube. Everybody laughed at the shit in the celebrity game. Now you got a 4-point line. Now you throw the 4-point things up there. They're talking about next year having the 1-on-1. Like, hey, give my man credit. You know what I'm saying? If y'all have a three
break
on
my
three
man off
tournament,
some bread.
hey,
Give him the credit.
yeah, man, give him respect. Y'all act like y'all didn't want anything to do with the league, and y'all didn't want to, acknowledge that as a valid way to get into the league. And now he done changed it to hot shot and completely separated. Now y'all want to start stealing his shit. Man, give Cube his
Now,
respect.
I'm gonna give you credit because Big Three, XFL, I wasn't on either of them. I still don't really watch either of them. But I agree with you that they're both going to be successful leagues. Big Three is probably here to stay. XFL, I think, is going to be here to stay, and I think you'll see, like the NBA with the Big Three, the NFL will steal from the XFL. So, yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt to be innovative. Um,
And it's also about timing. That's what I always say. Everyone always be like this can't work, this can't work. All that shit can work if you don't compete directly with the main league. If you're not trying to replace that league and you're just trying to get in your niche where you fit in, you can work. The only reason the USFL went was because Donald Trump decided that he wanted to compete directly with the NFL when everybody told him it's not a good business move to do that. You're not going to steal views away from the NFL. But if you get in that little gap where nobody ain't doing shit, you get in that summertime where people don't watch baseball, you can get enough views to maintain.
I agree. I mean, as long as I will say don't compete with the NFL and also don't compete with college football. I mean,
yeah.
you're at the perfect time. Ain't nothing going on football wise except for combine shit, which who cares? And there's really nothing going on until the draft.
Competing with
Perfect
college
time.
basketball. That's what they're competing with.
Yeah, exactly. And people are gonna watch football over college basketball all day.
Yeah.
So, all right, man. Let's get to some current stuff right now. We've got the playoff
Got the
stretch
All-Star
coming.
game, man.
Oh, my bad. You're right. All-Star game. Great All-Star game. I was confused as to how all this was going to work with the ad in 24 and, but man, that's successful. And they kind of bullshit around first 3 quarters, which was to be expected. But, Giannis, man, I like Giannis. You talk about Mamba mentality. That dude was there from the beginning, the opening tip to the end. He wanted to win this bitch. I mean,
Shit, I would say he was there from the draft up into the game because he was trying to win during the draft. If you look at his draft, he was drafting like he was building an actual team to go play basketball. Now, I think that kind of didn't work in his favor because of the starters. I know you were complaining about, Trae Young and Kemba, but that kind of limited his options on starters because he actively didn't want like James Harden and certain players, and the way it worked out, he couldn't get Kawhi. If he'd have got Kawhi when he wanted him, then it would have been a different story. But the fact he had to get Trae Young and he had to get Kemba Walker kind of worked in his favor. So Kyle Lowry ended up playing a lot of the minutes, and that goes to show that draft was interesting because it shows that Giannis has a specific type of player that he likes playing with. He don't like all that just, if you're not playing defense, doing all the other things, then I don't think Giannis fucks with you. And that's going to be important for free agency. That's going to be important for if he stays with the Bucks. I think I was listening to a podcast, a new one called the Guy and Girls Podcast. I think it's on Instagram, GG Sports Talk. But they were talking about how he picked Bam. And if you're looking at a free agency destination, he really praised Bam. And I could see Giannis wanting to go to a style like the Miami Heat because it really highlights all the things that he loves. Now, with that said, I believe Milwaukee does too because they do a good job of putting people around him and building it. As long as they keep doing that, they'll be fine. But if he were to leave, I would definitely be looking at a team like Miami for him to go to. He's not going to team up with a bunch of all-stars. He's going to go to people that want to grind, work hard, play defense. That's his style.
I agree with you. I talk a lot of shit about Miami, deservedly so. But I agree with you. I think that if he were to leave, it would be a team like Miami who is serious about basketball all the time. I mean, you can talk about the body fat limit, all this, that, and the other. But Miami is what Giannis is looking for. But I also agree with you. I don't think he leaves Milwaukee unless it's for a good situation. He's not going to LA, most likely.
Yeah.
He's probably not going to the Knicks. You know what I mean? The only other team I can see him going to is probably the Grizzlies, because I know he wants to play with Ja. No,
yeah, everybody wants to play with Ja. But, I mean, I will say, man, watching that rookie, sophomore, whatever it's called now, man, Ja is fucking explosive. Like, I saw him in college, and he'd be like, a lot of people look explosive in college. But, man, the explosiveness of how man, it's just kind of incredible to watch. And then they start talking about Ja and Zion was on the same AAU team. That's the fuck, crazy. Man? I can't even imagine.
Crazy. We'll get to Ja and the Grizzlies here in a second. We're going to bounce around a lot. There's a lot going on in the league right now. We are in this playoff stretch that's about to get really exciting. So let's jump to it. Have we said all we need to say on the damn All-Star game?
Did you like it?
Absolutely. I hope they do it, and I hope it continues to be played out this way. I have my doubts because most of the guys. One thing, man, but the NBA and they talk about the ratings being down. They talk about in-season tournaments. They talk about all this, that, and the other. But I really do feel like the superstars and a lot of the players in the NBA are the ones to blame for devaluing the regular season.
I agree.
I mean, they just don't give a fuck about the regular season. That's evident.
You got to blame Pop and the Spurs for that too.
You do, and he's the catalyst for resting these guys on major TV nights. Load management, and I'm not saying I have a problem with load management. We're in 2020. Technology is different. Your body's different. We see these. We want to extend these guys' careers from 12 to 13 years to probably 15 to 16 years now. And so I'm with all that. But again, these guys don't care about the regular season at all. I've heard a couple things. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, my problem with that is I agree with all that stuff, but I don't like the fact that they do it on major TV nights because major TV nights is usually the best competition. You can set out those same games playing the fucking Cleveland Cavaliers and shit like that. That starts to make
Tuesday night or something.
Yeah, that starts to make me feel like these motherfuckers are stat padding because if you're doing that and then sitting out on major broadcast games against elite competition, you should at least have to play in those. Like, that should be almost mandatory to me because you're going to have a random Friday game against somebody else where you have plenty of games where you can rest. And they're not – the games that I see them picking is kind of the games that keep their stats up and don't really want to be competitive to wear down your body. So there's the one thing about load management, but when you're taking away the best competition, it's going to take your ratings down, and that's what's happening. You're tuning in to see Kawhi against Giannis, and then Kawhi sits out for load management. That's a problem on TNT. That's the primetime game that's slotted in. They're going to have to do something about that, man.
I agree. I think that's bad for the game. But a lot of good going on right now. Where do we start? Let's start with the Sunday game, the Lakers versus the Celtics. What a game.
Tatum's growing up right before our eyes.
Tatum has been on an absolute tear over the last month. And I think I said in our basketball group chat Sunday, I like watching this dude play. His handle, I mean, he stopped the bullshit with the 3 pointers that he was shooting last year. He gets to the hole at will. He was guarding Anthony Davis towards the end of the game. I mean, do you see a scenario where Jason Tatum? I feel like we've had the same thought that okay, potentially he could be one of the best 10 to 15 guys in the league. Do you still how what do you think his ceiling is right now, judging off what we're seeing over the last month and a half?
I definitely think the kid has the potential to be one of the best players in the game. He, last year it was kind of the same way I felt like Brandon Ingram. I mean, when I saw that dude in college, he just scored so easy, and did everything so easy. I thought coming into the league, he was going to be one of the best players. Kyrie really set that dude back because when he got a chance to play in his rookie year and Kyrie was hurt, he kind of looked like this. Now, he was young. He couldn't handle all the games, so he would fall off some. But we were really looking for the ascension that he had this year, last year. This is what we
Yep.
thought we would see last year. And then when we didn't get that from him and we didn't get that from Jaylen Brown, we started when we didn't get that from Tatum and Jaylen Brown, we started to blame them for it when really it was a toxic environment. Now we're starting to see that from both because earlier in the season, this was Jaylen Brown doing some of these same things, and now you see Tatum doing some of these things. So this team, those two together, they're going to be a dynamic duo for years to come. And I just love what I'm seeing from Tatum, and I love what I'm seeing from Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, I was gonna say Jalen Brown as well. I like what the Celtics are doing, and they were so close to being able to steal that game without Kemba Walker. They just you talk about a real dud. Uh, that Brad Wanamaker spot, that Grant Williams spot, those are two. That's my issue with the Celtics as far as
But it's
you know
also, did Marcus Smart play Sunday? I can't remember.
he did.
Okay, because they've been
Yeah.
suffering a lot of injuries and rotating one in. I would lean less towards that spot and more to that center spot. I hate what they've done in center because you can Cantor. I like this a hard worker, but that's
I
not
like
really.
Tice. Yeah, I like him a lot.
I wish they would have took a chance if you could get Andre Drummond for what the fuck what Cleveland got for Andre Drummond. Come on, man. Come
Now
on,
you're kind
sell.
of saying that about everybody, right? It's like if that's what Andre Drummond was with, why didn't some of these contenders throw that out there? I mean, that's why I can't really figure out what happened because
They didn't want
if
to.
you're
They
only
didn't want
giving
to
up
pay for him because everyone's so terrified that he's going to opt in. So if he opts
so
in,
what?
that's $27 million. Everyone's always looking towards the future. Fuck the future. What about right
Yeah,
now? You know what I mean?
exactly. If you put Drummond on the Celtics team, I would say that they're favorites to come out the East. Especially if Tatum continues this ascension. I mean, how many times have you seen guys who get hot like him and then they make a deep playoff run? Now maybe they poop out, but it's because they need one more guy. But Drummond would have been perfect for the Celtics.
And
Drummond would have been,
it's perfect
yeah.
because there's not a true point guard on the Celtics. Like Walker can be a true point guard, but he can play off the ball, and that was kind of the problem with Drummond Drummond with the Pistons is Reggie Jackson wanted to control the ball, run pick and roll, but you can actually run that offense through Drummond and let those other guys spot up and play off of him. And I think they would have been deadly with Drummond, but they got their cap situations, opting in, can't sign him to an extension, don't want to give up assets. I understand all that, but sometimes, bro, you just got to go for it and see if you're
If
trying to
if
win.
if you can win a title, fuck it, figure us out later. It's worth it.
Now, we'll say
Um,
the one thing you do worry about if you actually do give up assets and then you meet the Sixers and he hasn't shown he can do anything with Joel Embiid.
I mean, true, but so what? I mean, it's not
Yeah,
like
that's a
they
big
have anybody
deal.
can do anything with them now.
But
You
shit, at
know.
least you can have some people that just play hard defense. Like at least Stiz can make it tough for him and hard. Like Drummond can do nothing against Joel Embiid. Like nothing.
So Ben Simmons is hurt his back. Joel
Sounds
Embiid
bad
scored
too.
49 points last night. Um, I still don't believe in the Sixers.
Yeah,
I just don't.
I don't believe in him either.
You know, I think that whole organization is going to need a shakeup. Again, you and I have talked about, and I don't think that they will, but I think they should. I would get rid of one of them. Whichever one. I would keep Simmons personally in a guard-driven league. Um, I don't know that Embiid is going to play 70 games a year, let alone 82 games a year, plus the playoffs. there's something off with them, and Al Horford has been a complete mess. You can say I mean, Al Horford is either definitely washed or this situation is just bad. It's kind of like what we talked about last year. I just couldn't see a scenario where someone was going to give Al Horford 3 years, $100 million.
I'm totally fucking surprised that anybody would do it, and I'm even more surprised that the fucking Sixers would do it. What are you doing, Elton Brand? I could understand the fact of him being insurance, but that's a lot of money to pay for somebody that's just insurance. I mean, you could have went and
He's
got
34 years old.
yeah, you could have went and got a Dwayne Dedman for insurance behind Joel Embiid. Some shit. He does a lot of the same shit you making Embiid do anyway. Stand out on the perimeter, shoot threes, rebound. I don't understand why they gave Horford so much money. I understand that Horford's a good player, but it could have been a great if they were going to be great defensively, then I understand, but they're terrible defensively. And that's one of the big problems.
And I don't care what you say about Embiid, great player, 49 points last night. I was watching some of that game against Atlanta. I still do not like the fact that this dude. So here's the scenario, right? He runs down the court, gets a block on the defensive end, runs back down. I think it was Shake Milton. Whoever had the ball on the wing. Embiid's running back. They kick it to him, and this fool just drops it, like takes a three from 2 feet behind the top of the key, and of course clanks it. And Atlanta gets the rebound, calls timeout. Embiid is over the crowd, pump him up. And if I'm the crowd, I'm like, what the fuck did you do that for? Like, get your ass in the paint, dude. Like, stop these slow ass ball fakes, 3 to 5 3-pointers a game. I don't care about analytics. Like, you're not a good 3-point shooter. You're not a good 3-point shooter.
He's stubborn about it, though. He's stubborn about it. When they asked him about it, he said, well, everyone tells me I need to be down low more and I need to be on the outside to make shit spread out. Like, conceptually, I understand what he's saying when it's with Ben Simmons, but that's what you do best is down low.
And then, so you chuck up a three after a great defensive play. You chuck up a three with 20 seconds left in the shot clock. It's like, why the fuck would you do that? Like, that's not good basketball. I don't care what the numbers say. Like, I've seen enough basketball in my life to say a bad 3-point shooter should not be shooting threes just for the fuck of it. You know what I mean? Like, that just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I mean, everyone talks about analytics and all this shit, but then we forget, like we talked about either last podcast or a couple podcasts ago, the most dangerous people shoot mid-range shots. I mean, no matter what, even when you talk about Curry, how good Curry shoots and do all this shit, he shoots a ton of fucking mid-range shots and layups. Devin Booker, ton of Kevin Durant, LeBron James, all the greatest players that you're going to see in the NBA, even talking about Jason Tatum. He ain't doing that shit by shooting 9 threes. A lot of mid-range, deadly shots. So whatever analytics tells you, it looks good for the numbers and shit. But even James Harden's the only difference is he takes a lot of free throws. You don't get those free throws unless you're drawing fouls, going to the lane. You know what I'm saying? Like, every great scorer gets a lot of their points either through layups and mid-range shots or free throws. And you can't do free throws unless you're not doing that shit shooting fadeaway threes. Even Harden takes it to the basket. You know what I'm saying? So I don't, and even if and my biggest problem with the Sixers, and when you start having this argument, yes, I do believe that overall Joel Embiid is probably more talented just because he's more rare. He's rare. You know what I'm saying? The big man that can move like that, shoot like that, and do those things. But the problem with that is he's stubborn as fuck. He obviously has some type of attitude problem. You see that going this year. I don't know if he's a good locker room guy because everyone's complaining about the locker room. And with Joel Embiid coming out with that message, it sounds like they're pointing the finger at him. Everything's pointing to that Joel Embiid is the problem in the locker room. Then if you put everything on his shoulder, it becomes more dangerous for the Sixers right now with Ben Simmons out because you can deal with Joel Embiid being out for an extended amount of times and putting that load on Ben Simmons. But can Joel Embiid handle that load? He might get hurt. We don't know. He's not good at handling all those minutes, the ball going through, all those touches. When Ben Simmons wasn't there, he was hurt way more. Ben Simmons takes a lot of pressure off of him where he's been playing more games. But now he might be there for an extended amount of time. If he gets hurt, I really worry about their chances in the playoffs.
Oh, absolutely. And this is going to show, in my opinion, this should show the Sixers exactly what to do. Right? We saw how good they were without Joel Embiid and just Ben Simmons. And now we've got no Simmons and just Embiid. We'll see how they do. I mean, Atlanta, you're supposed to win that game. So we'll see how when the schedule gets tough and you start to play some of these teams who are trying to fight for playoff spots, like the Brooklyn Nets. You know, you'll see how good that team is with just Joel Embiid, and I'm a little iffy on them.
And my biggest problem with them in the playoffs is the team, even if they get through the first round, which more than likely they will, unless they end up playing like the
I don't know
Pacers.
because they're the sixth seed right now, and so who would they
Shit,
be?
yeah, I'm about to say. So if they, I'm saying that I think that they are better than they're playing, so they could move up. But if they don't, you're right, because if they get in that sixth or fifth seed, shit, if actually they need to move up, because you're right, because six seed they're in trouble. I think even a 4 or 5 seed against the Pacers they're in trouble. I mean,
Yeah. Let's look at where they are right
I
now,
don't know, man.
because you
They're,
know,
the chances of them getting to like a 3 seed is troubling, because even if they get to a 3 seed, they're still gonna have to play a 6 seed.
so they're tied with Miami right, or they're a game behind Miami right now for the fourth seed. So currently Philly is four.
Where's Indiana?
Sorry, Indiana six, Philly's five, Miami's four,
So that's the
Boston
problem.
three.
So all
Yeah.
those teams in that top six, I believe, are more dangerous teams than the Sixers just because of the way they play. Because the one thing about the East is they all play good ball movement, hard defense, and they all hustle like hell. When you get to play the Pacers, the Raptors, the Miami Heat, the Milwaukee Bucks, those teams right there are hell to play because they don't quit. They're always
I
going
mean,
full throttle.
I actually think it would help the Sixers. I think the one team that does not want to play the Sixers is Boston. I think that's a tough matchup for them. But so
Depends on if they
if
got
it is
Ben Simmons.
correct, yeah, correct. So if they have Ben Simmons, that's a tough matchup because Kemba can't do shit with Ben Simmons.
But if they
Um,
don't have Ben Simmons, traditionally
yeah,
Boston has been a really bad matchup for Joel Embiid because
yep.
they will play him physical as fuck, and in the playoffs you don't get those calls. So putting people in there like this and people that'll just bang them and foul them and don't care about taking fouls, that's going to be a real problem for Joel Embiid because he's kind of soft and he's going to resort back to shooting out them damn threes.
Yeah. So we talked about the Houston Rockets or James Harden,
Well, hold
but
on. Before you go there, are you buying or selling the Sixers? I know you're selling. I want to get you on record.
I'm selling the Sixers.
How far do you think they go? They make it out the first round?
The matchup depending. Like I said, it's hard to tell if they play anybody but Boston or Indiana. I'd say no.
Indiana's a tough
But if they,
matchup for them, though.
it is, but I think they can win that matchup. Boston is just depending I think Boston wins that. I think Boston's a better team, but they would give Boston a real hard time. Everyone else, no, I don't think they win that.
Yeah, I'm on record for weeks of saying that I don't think Sixers get out of the first round, mainly because if they're anywhere in the top six, then they have the worst coach of anybody in the play in those out of those 5 teams.
100%.
They're gonna get out coached.
So, Houston Rockets. Um, since making their trade, or since getting Capella out of there and going all small ball,
Yeah,
um, they are currently on a 4 game win streak, and I think if you take away the game that Westbrook missed, I think they're like 6-1 or 7-1 since this trade.
and you talk about
Uh,
Westbrook stats. Westbrook
and
stats has
Westbrook
skyrocketed.
Westbrook's been on tear. He stopped shooting threes, which was my biggest complaint about this dude. Um, I don't know if someone finally was like, "Look, dude, stop, just stop." I mean, because you're not good at it.
Yeah,
So
he's shooting a career worst in 3 pointers this year. I think he's something like 21% or some crazy shit like that.
he's shooting a career worst all around.
Well,
The
not
way,
well overall, but in the last like 13 games, I think he's shooting like 47% or some shit like that.
but it's mostly because he's able to get to the basket now, and so Westbrook actually leads the league in points in the paint this year by a wide margin, by like 20 points a game. The next closest to him is 16 points a game. I think that's Giannis.
And he's leading
Um,
the team in rebounds.
yeah. So this is working out for the Rockets, and someone made a good point. I think it was Ryan Russillo actually made a really good point. It's like every time the Rockets start to do something, everyone hates it. Universally, no one likes the Rockets. Like basketball people hate them. Only Rockets fans or Westbrook fans or Harden fans like the Rockets. Like
Or
watching
me.
the Rockets,
Well,
or
not
you,
watching it, but just
yeah,
style.
or your cousin, like just. But for the most part, people are out on the Rockets. But every time we say, this isn't going to work, when they decide to, double down on how many 3-pointers they were going to shoot, they almost made it to the finals. When they decided to get Chris Paul, that's not going to work. They almost made it to the finals. They got Westbrook. It's not going to work. And it wasn't to start the season. But now that they've decided, you know what, can't have two people who can't shoot. We're going to go all small. We're going to double down on this again. Not going to work, and it is working. I don't think it's going to work in the playoffs. I think, trying to do that for 7 games and having a series where you're playing a guy like, let's see, they're the 4 seed right now, so they'd be playing Utah. That might be a favorable matchup for them, but I can't say for sure because Utah's a physical team, and over a 7-game series, maybe that wears them down.
They've owned Utah over the last 2 years, though.
They could play Rudy Gobert right off the court.
Yeah, like I said, they've owned Utah the past 2 years, and this year they probably match up better because they can go more small ball to match up with them. But over the last 2 years, Utah's really struggled. So this is my problem. Like that's what I always tell people that when I stop watching ESPN, then a lot of people form their opinions. I'm not saying you, but they listen to all these pundits and people that are supposed to be intelligent, but it's just like a microwave thing on like these sports networks. They just go against it because it's good to go against it or because it sells papers. Or not papers. Nobody reads papers. Clicks.
So what year are you in?
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm old.
Clicks,
yeah, I'm old as fuck. But yeah, but it gets clicks. So people say the most popular thing. Oh, this not work. This is not work. Traditional basketball. Blah blah blah. And it just goes back to people just don't like it. They don't believe that style could work. Just like when you brought the spread into college football, everyone said that wouldn't work. It's not gonna work. You can't play like that. That won't beat traditional football. All these reasons why. And now everybody does the fucking spread. Because at the end of the day, I don't even understand people's argument. Like when we have this argument, like it frustrates me with you because I don't understand your argument about it. Because if you just use common sense and you go back through the playoffs, this shit has been working for a while. And the best that they ever did with this style was when they had Trevor Ariza. Last year, they only took a step back because they let go of Trevor Ariza, which they shouldn't have. So you go replace Trevor Ariza. Trevor Ariza was way more important in that series against Golden State 2 years ago than Clint Capella was. And the only reason they probably lost is because Trevor Ariza went 1 from 17 from the goddamn 3-point line and couldn't hit anything and kept shooting them. But they barely lost that game. So
that was the whole team. They went like 0 for 28 to down.
Yeah, they went, but he shot 17. There's no reason fucking Trevor Ariza should be shooting 18 damn 3-pointers and go 1 for 17. If he just takes a couple of layups or drive and kick it or something, that's probably
on D'Antoni though.
Like, true, you calm. But if
sit down, bro.
But if he's playing great defense because they could switch everything, and he was essentially the 4 then, and PJ Tucker was the 5. They did small ball that whole finals against the Warriors, and he gave the Warriors fits. They barely won that series. That's the one where Chris Paul got hurt, and they still gave him a challenge. So if you're looking at that and you say, well, we went with Clint Capella last year, and we were hurt by losing Ariza. How about we go get Robert Covington, who's a better version of Trevor Ariza? And that's what they did. It's going to open up the lane for Westbrook. This team is so fucking dangerous, and I don't know why people can't see it.
I am just dubious that they are going to be able to do this against team. Like, I don't think this works in 7 games against the Lakers. I think it can work one night, first game out. Lakers don't know what the hell to expect. But Lakers too big for that.
I go the opposite. Like, you can say that, but at the end of the day, the Lakers have to match up with them, and they give problems for the Lakers because what happens is they go so fast, you can allow Anthony Davis to just go for 40. And that last game they played, you saw that. You can keep letting them run that fucking pick and roll and LeBron throw oops and Anthony Davis dunks, and that shit looks good when those two are in the game. Once one of them goes out, it gets really bad because now you're doing that same style and you don't have people on the court that can score as easy as Anthony Davis and LeBron, and neither one of those dudes are playing 48 minutes. So as soon as they go out, they run them off the fucking court because you can't play JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard out there and then they get the lead. Now Anthony Davis and LeBron come back in, and it just, I'm telling you, it just like you think that they're going to be a matchup nightmare for Houston, Houston's a matchup nightmare for them too. The only difference is Houston plays that style in waves. No matter who goes out and comes in, they're running.
So the one thing that gives me pause is there was something that Steve Nash said on the Book of Basketball podcast. I think maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and he said that his biggest regret and the reason that the Phoenix Suns didn't win a title was because they didn't like fully go all in on basically what the Rockets are doing right now.
Yep.
And so I started to think about that, about what he said, and I was just like, I mean, the league hasn't really seen this. Isn't something like I can. It's kind of like you said, the spread offense is a perfect example. It's kind of like a lot of these teams. I think the Lakers have a lot of smart basketball players. LeBron, Rondo. Rondo ain't giving you much on the court, but at least can see this. And so I just think that the Lakers are a better team that can deal with this. But as I look up and down the standings, I mean, I think this style could work against Denver, Clippers maybe. Utah for sure. We've seen that. OKC, they can run anyone else out the gym. I think their struggle is going to be with the Lakers. But as I look over everything and I think about who is, the personnel and the rest of these teams in the West, you might be right. Because why couldn't it work?
I think the opposite, and I agree with your point. But the only thing I would disagree with is saying that we haven't seen this, because we have, and they're just pretty much taking what Golden State did with their Hampton Five and their death lineup and implementing it all the time. You know what I mean?
Right, but Houston doesn't have a KD level.
No, but I'm saying that before KD, the death lineup
was 2014.
The death lineup.
Yeah.
They're taking that death lineup and they're changing it to, that's what PJ Tucker plays a Draymond role, and they're just Iguodala's Covington. You know what I mean? They're just using that death lineup. The only difference is now you don't have 3-point shooters besides Harden. Now you got Westbrook attacking, which plays kind of the KD role. Instead of mid-range jumper, he's attacking the basket. So I think this can work, but I think the opposite. You said the only team that's going to give them trouble that you look at is the Lakers, because people have so much respect for Anthony Davis and LeBron, but that supporting cast is trash in my eyes, and I think they can exploit that. I like the Clippers. The Clippers is the one team, and I don't think they can beat the Clippers. So I think that they'll go to the, depending on how it matches up. All that shit ends when they play the Clippers, because the Clippers can go small, especially now that they fucking got Reggie Jackson and Marcus Morris. That small ball lineup that the Clippers can put out there to match up with this team is crazy. Even Montrezl Harrell can go out there, run, play fast, and give PJ Tucker all types of hell. So I think Clippers are the one team that the Houston does not want to see. I think they need to pray that the Lakers match up with the Clippers, which I don't think will happen. Well, no, it might, because Clippers are down at the 3-4 range, right? They're 4 right now.
Clippers are currently 3.
3? Okay. Yeah. They need to hope that they can get on the Lakers side, or that the Lakers or some team can beat the Clippers, because the Clippers is the one team that I see that style would not work on.
I think I did want to talk about the two LA teams. I think that the Lakers are probably going to – I mean, they've got a five-game lead over the Nuggets right now. I think they'll get that first seed.
More than likely.
So – who do you like better? I think I know the answer to this. I still think the Lakers are a better team than the Clippers, and here's why. And it's not really much to do with basketball on the court. I don't think that they have the chemistry. I mean, these dudes have not played together all season. Paul George finally just – by the way, do you think – we'll wait till after the season. But if you're the Clippers right now, judging by how much you gave up for just Paul George, are you happy right now? And the fact that both of these dudes can bounce after next season, you gave up 6 draft picks, 7 draft picks, 2 pick swaps, plus Gallinari and SGA for Paul George, who's 28, 2 bad shoulders, broken leg. I mean, the dude, do you see a scenario where Paul George is playing 70 games a year, 75 games a year? He hasn't in forever.
I don't think they care. And when you look at that situation, you also got to look at, does Kawhi Leonard go with Paul George doesn't? So the price, yeah, you look at it as, you paid that for Paul George. No, you actually paid that for Kawhi. But
if you don't win a title this year or next year, you are fucked.
But that's why you do it, because you're doing it. And that's why they don't give a shit what Paul George is doing this year. That's why he played a little bit, and he told Doc Rivers, hey, my hamstring is tight, and they shut his ass down. All they want Paul George for is the playoffs. All they need Paul George for is the playoffs.
But that's not. But That's not how basketball works, though. You and
It
I
is.
both know that.
It is today.
You
It
don't
is
you don't
today.
think that these guys need some sort of chemistry to make a deep playoff run?
I
You so
mean,
you look at
you do though. So you looking at it as everybody. You really don't need it because at some point that rotation is gonna go down. But
right. You're playing six, seven guys.
what you learn with playing with the Raptors is it's valuable for all those other guys to get experience and play big minutes before the playoffs. At some point in time, probably in March, you're going to see Paul George and Kawhi be out there a lot more often together. Right now, it's more important for them to get chemistry with the other players and other people, learn how to play and integrate those players, and then add Paul George in.
Now, have you ever seen? And I don't know if you've been watching the Clippers actually, but Kawhi Leonard has been more animated than I've ever seen him. I'm talking about throwing his hands up, yelling at teammates, like, you're supposed to be in this spot. You're running out to it was Landry Shamet in particular. You got Landry Shamet, who should have been running towards the basket on a fast break, decided to cut back out and fade towards the 3-point line. Kawhi hits him with a pass. Of course, it goes out of bounds, and Kawhi Leonard blew up
But
on court.
this is the first time that Kawhi Leonard has been the true leader of the team because when he was on the Spurs, Pop was the leader of that team. He didn't have to worry about doing that shit, and he probably wasn't ready because Pop did it. He goes to the Raptors, and the Raptors were full of veterans. I mean, if you look at that Raptors team, that's a team full of veterans that had already been successful. They just needed somebody to help them get over the hump. He didn't have to say any of that shit with the Raptors because they were already a well-oiled machine. Now he's trying to turn the Clippers into the Raptors or the Spurs or teams that he's played on before because those systems were already in place. This Clippers system was not already in place, so now because Doc teams, he had Thibodeau there when they were truly a great defensive team. Once Thibodeau left, those Doc Rivers teams weren't truly great defensive teams. He had a lot of Kevin Garnett made up for a lot of shit, but he's trying to implement what he knows and he learns, and he's gonna have to be more of a beat leader. Also, this is the only time he's had this amount of pressure on him because there wasn't no pressure on him when he was with the Raptors.
Which is part of the reason I think Clippers could win a title next year. I don't think they can win it this year. I just don't. I mean, NBA history says otherwise. But real quick on
NBA
Kawhi,
history said the Raptors wasn't going to win.
yeah. I mean, but if you go back, speaking of the Raptors, if you look at Kawhi, would Toronto not be the favorite to come out of the East to defend the title if he was still there?
Oh,
They're
1,000%.
they're 42-15 right now. They're probably the number one seed, or at worst the same at the 2 seed right now.
Yeah, it just depends on how many games he played because it still would have been the load management, but you're probably looking at about the same record.
Right. And so, do you think that if it was real that he was going to go to the Lakers and play with LeBron and AD,
I don't think that was ever real.
Staying in Toronto, even though he was trying to get Paul George, or going to the Clippers, do you think like laying it out and seeing what you see now? I think he chose the worst situation of the three.
Shit, I don't know why you're so down on the Clippers because I don't know why you're so
I mean
down
for
on
this year. I don't mean long term. I just mean for this year.
I don't understand it. Like I said, I don't know why you're so down on the Clippers and so high on the Lakers. And yeah, the Lakers are number one seed right now, but the Clippers aren't playing to try to get that because they know they're trying to rest. Like the amount of energy that LeBron and AD are putting in to be the number one seed, I believe is going to affect them in the playoffs. That supporting cast is not great. That's why they're trying so hard to get a Reggie Jackson and a Marcus Morris. If those guys aren't playing at this level on all the time, then that team is not great. You don't trust Kyle Kuzma, Caldwell Pope, JaVale McGee like that. That lineup, it's good for the regular season. It's kind of like we see with like Denver. It's going to be a whole different story when they get in the playoffs because all the stuff that you're talking about, you don't have to have mandatory rest days. They're built-in rest days for the Clippers. So you don't have to rest Paul George and Kawhi Leonard because they're coming in fresh and they're only game planning towards you. That Lakers team has real holes, and I don't see how they match up with the depth of the Clippers. That Clippers team is one of the deepest teams I've seen. Now they got Reggie Jackson. They got Patrick Beverly. They got Marcus Morris. JaMychal Green is coming around. He's playing well now. Larry Shamit's been playing quality minutes. That team is so much deeper than the Lakers team. And all those players are playing quality minutes because Kawhi and Paul George aren't playing. So once you implement and you go to your rotation, anybody off that bench can come in and be a factor because they've been playing all season. And they play hard defense. I just don't know how you like the Lakers better than the
I
Clippers.
I think it's just the fact that I just don't trust that, after not playing, more than a handful of games together, that you're going to be on the same page for a deep playoff run. Like,
Well, you got to remember though, we're just after the All-Star break. I know you don't like how it is, but people don't really get serious until March when you're a real
oh,
true
we're we're
playoff team.
we're on the stretch where load management is done,
Yeah,
probably.
so in March you're gonna start seeing, and you probably would see Paul George playing now, but
I mean, he
he's
played last night.
yeah, I mean, but he got rested over the All Star break because of that nagging injury. You're about to see Paul George and Kawhi Leonard and that team. You're about to see those rotations shorten, and you're about to see them really build up chemistry for the playoffs. You've already gotten all the other stuff that I talked about earlier. Now, like you said, it's time to build chemistry. Yes, LeBron and them is building chemistry, but I still don't think they got anybody on that team they can trust outside of LeBron and AD, and that's going to be a problem. Because if
I
you're
mean, the
any
Lakers definitely should have made a move. I mean, bringing in Marcus Morris, whatever, or Markeith, whichever one of them they got.
Marcus,
Uh, which one's better, Markeith or Marcus? Because
shit,
the
it
numbers say
depends.
Markeith,
It
but yeah,
it
it just
depends on the
depends.
situation. Sometimes now Marcus is better for the Lakers because Marcus is more of a spot up 3-point shooter. Markeith is a better defender and kind of get my own shot, kind of an off-brand KD. Marcus is better just run and shoot, so he's great for the Lakers. He went to the better situation because to be a spot up shooter, that's gonna be better for him.
Um, let's talk about the playoffs. In terms of the eighth seed in the West, we don't need to worry about the East.
Pelicans, they running, man.
So you've got the Memphis Grizzlies, who I've been watching a lot of Grizzlies games naturally. Um, I so here's the thing:
Injuries at the wrong time.
injuries at the wrong time, 3 game losing streak. You just lost Jaren Jackson for a couple weeks. Brandon Clark is now hurt. Um, the one thing that I noticed about the Grizzlies, oh, also, bad Dylan Brooks is back. He's been trash, as I said, all season.
Hey,
With the
man,
exception of January, he's been trash.
listen.
Uh,
He's growing as a player. He got the money.
man,
He got the
he's
money.
trash,
Hey, it's funny how players lose that intensity once they get the money, ain't
right?
it?
But you know what? I will say this about Dylan Brooks. I think he's going through, like, he's taking the same shots he was in January. He's just not making them.
Yeah.
But this is why you don't pay motherfuckers in the middle of the season on a contract year.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Okay,
get that
this
extension.
is why you don't do that.
But I think they
And
had to because of those trades coming in, and they, like I said, they were going to lock themselves out of the cap next year. So I don't think they could afford to do it in the offseason.
and as much as I like Justice Winslow, and as excited as I was for that trade, damn, that was to take all that freaking money back.
Now you're on my
And
side because Justice
yeah,
is really because he's really hurt. Now you start to see what I said. I don't understand that shit, man.
and for a guy who, as talented as Winslow, shown he can be, but only Winslow works when he has the ball in his hands, and that clearly is not going to be the case when you have John on the floor. So unless you're going to run this dude as a 6 man and let him run the second unit or a hybrid or something like that, I don't.
Well, I will
He's at
say
his best when he's playing point guard.
I will say I do believe that, but with the style they're trying to play and play fast, I think it can work if he's healthy because that goes to anybody that takes it off the rim can go. And because Ja is so explosive and he can jump and he can play off the ball, he will have to improve his shooting. But if Justice get it, he can run it and have Ja on the outside wing going. And if you really get that thing going, having a wing of Ja and Brandon Clark, or you know what I'm saying, or Winslow and Jaren
Jaren
Jackson,
Jackson,
then you start playing Josh
or
Jackson,
even Josh Jackson.
yeah.
Yep,
So you
exactly.
start playing real fast. So I could see it. He can be whenever you rest Ja, he could be the backup point guard. You don't have to rely on Tyus Jones, still give you size. So I can see it. The problem is I thought Justice Winslow was faking. Now it looks like he's actually
He's
hurt.
really hurt.
So then if you have all the other nagging injuries and then you add a fucking back injury to it, that's back, foot injuries, and knee injuries are the worst.
Yep. And so, you're the Grizzlies. You had a 3 game lead, and now you have a 3 game losing streak. You're still the 8th seed, but Portland's right behind you. New Orleans is right behind you, and that's probably about it. Your Phoenix Suns, as I said earlier in the season,
So
I
Memphis is
don't.
on a 3-game losing streak. Now, Portland, They got injured at the worst time too. Damian
Yep.
Lillard's out for like 3 weeks.
Yep.
Although CJ is playing at another level, mad respect
Yep.
to him. I mean,
But it's set up for New Orleans.
like I said, New Orleans got the easiest schedule. Zion is starting to get a feel for the game and look unstoppable down there. I don't
And
know, man.
honestly, it's the matchup as a Grizzlies fan. Like I get it. We're overachieving this year. We weren't supposed to be here. One thing I noticed about Ja though that he's going to have to work on in the off season. He's going to have to thicken up. I mean, he's still he's very skinny. And B, he's going to have to work on his jump shot because they've given him that Westbrook syndrome where they're like, man, shoot it, I don't care.
Underneath on
If
all
he's
pick
open.
and rolls.
Yeah, they sag off of him, let him shoot, whatever. So and he hasn't been taking the shot, which is another problem. You at least have to be a threat, and he hasn't been. So Memphis probably out, right? And it comes down to New Orleans and Portland, as you said. Dame's hurt. Portland's hurt at the wrong time. Everything is set up for New Orleans right now. And Zion, I think we talked about it, last week or a couple weeks ago. Zion's as advertised.
Yeah. Fucking bully down there. He looks like he's playing in high school. He just snatches the ball from dudes. And the worst thing, I mean, like you said, it's a chemistry thing. Like, not only is Zion starting to find himself, they are starting to learn how to play with Zion. They are starting to learn the passes that you can throw to him, where his spots are, where he's comfortable. And now it's getting ugly, man. I watched that game, I think, Saturday or Sunday they played, and he was just pushing dudes around in the lane, dunking on them. And before I was like, Zion can't get Rookie of the Year. Now I'm kind of like, I mean, they were like 3 or 4 games out. Even though he's playing half a season, his impact is going to be crazy because no one thought that New Orleans could get in the playoffs before Zion came back and closed this gap. It's not going to be fair. I know you don't like it as a Grizzlies fan. It's not going. I'm not saying it's going to be fair.
If I have it may be because I'm biased. I don't know that you can justify it only playing half the season, but as someone who's watched a lot of Pelicans games, I don't know that I could be like, no, fuck this. It's like this. It's not empty. I mean, these dudes are winning.
Yeah, I mean, this dude is. His impact you can see it on the court. Like, shit, if he had played all year and then they would have still went through that same rough patch, right now they might be comfortably in the playoffs because he would have already found his rhythm. And I'm talking about defensively, playing pick and roll, just being able to suck that defense in. And
I mean, I think if he plays the entire year, the Mavericks are 7 games. Put it this way, the 8th seed is currently 7 games behind the 7th seed.
Yeah.
You could probably say with the way that New Orleans is playing with Zion, they probably at least have that 8th seed locked up.
Yeah, I'm saying that right now they're probably 3 games ahead of the 8th seed. Right now, I don't think San Antonio would have held that spot for as long as they did.
I think the West playoffs are probably locked up at this point if he's playing the whole year.
And this is the problem with Portland. I think the worst thing to happen to Portland is for them to make the Western Conference Finals because now you got bad Portland now. You know what I'm saying? Now you're back in that situation. What do you do? I guess the only thing that you can say to yourself is, hey, we didn't have Nurkic. But other than that, like, fuck. What do you do? Because they don't have really the cap room to go out and get anybody. I mean, I guess they can commit to Carmelo, but if they don't make the playoffs, what type of situation are they in?
I mean, so for them, you've got Nurkic coming back. You got Zach Collins coming back. Collins is nice for their team.
They're not closing this gap because you're looking at a New Orleans. Every team above them is younger and better. So next year when they bring those players back, you still got New Orleans who's getting better. That Mavericks team is still younger and better. You got Memphis on their tail. Shit, you can argue that maybe Phoenix gets better next year with some type of chemistry and having Ayton all year. I know. I believe too this year. But still, like, we got to give them the big of a doubt because they're still relatively young if you're looking in the grand scheme of things. Once they got Sark out of that lineup and put Mikal Bridges as a starter, Ayton's looked dominant. I think he had like 28, 19. I don't know what he had last night. But I'm saying that that team has a better outlook than the Portland Trail Blazers because they still have cap. All these teams have better outlooks than the Portland Trail Blazers. Huh? And I'm not even talking about the Warriors coming back with that team. Wiggins has looked great with them. And so what do you do if you're Portland? Like, really?
You talk about Portland, but so you got teams in the West is weird, right? So you've got teams that you can justify, like, or you can see a roadmap to where they could be good, like the Suns, the Kings, even.
Fuck
Uh,
that. I don't got nah. I lost all faith in them.
I'm gonna get to the Kings here in a minute. They're a buy and sell, but the Timberwolves, I still think they're gonna be a bottom feeder, but at
Youngest
least
team
they
in the
have
league though.
they've
They
got
changed
talent.
themselves to the youngest team in the league.
So, and they've got a lot of good young talent too. That I like. That's still on their G League team. That's still learning to play. Culver,
Keelan
Jared
Martin just
Vanderbilt.
came out of nowhere. He
Yeah.
looks good.
So
Nas
they
Reed.
Okogie, they have a lot of talent.
And we both
Um,
like Ryan Saunders, so I'm willing to give
yep,
him, it wasn't his fault that roster was built like it was. So
correct.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I'll give him another year or two to prove himself.
There's two teams in the West that I just do not see a roadmap for success anywhere in the near future.
Suns and Spurs.
Nope. Spurs in the Blazers.
Oh no, I'm
Um,
sorry, I said Suns. Blazers and
you meant
Spurs. That's what
Blazers.
I'm. Yeah, Blazers and
Blazers and
Spurs.
Spurs,
Yeah, Blazers and
100%.
Spurs.
Both in no man's land because the Spurs, fuck, they are a mess. The Spurs are bad, and I'm not even convinced that we're not in a Phil Jackson scenario with Pop that the game might have just passed him by. And
We were
I'm
in
not
that situation before, and I seen him fix it.
I'm not willing to say that Pop is washed. I am starting to think that the Spurs have made a ton of bad moves over the past really like 3 or 4 years. Bad draft picks, you know, trading Kawhi Leonard for what they got back for him when,
You had
if
to
you
though.
remember, but no, they didn't because
Yeah, you did.
they were hell bent on moving him to the East, and the Lakers were going to give up Brandon. Wouldn't you rather have Brandon Ingram than anybody on your team right now?
Nope, not if you hate the Lakers. I respect Pop for that shit.
Shit,
Fuck it,
you weren't going to win
we
the
can fix
title
this shit
anyway.
later. I am not sending Kawhi to the Lakers. I don't give a fuck. I'm
If
not
if
if you know what Kawhi Leonard is and you trust what Kawhi Leonard is, no way I'm sending him to our biggest rivals. Nope, not
so I
doing
got to
it.
play him. I got to play him 4 times a year. Fuck that. Like,
Nope,
you know what I
I'm
mean?
not, and I've been adamant throughout history, throughout my tenure, that I'm not going to be one of these teams that just keeps making the Lakers better. Nope,
I'd
I will
rather
take a
have
loss.
Brandon. I would have. You telling me that you wouldn't take that Lakers package
Nope,
for that New Orleans got for
nope.
You're out of your mind.
I'm not
There ain't
doing
no
it.
damn way.
Sometimes you
There's
got
no
see
damn
your
way.
problem is you don't have morals. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
You got to be able to
you got
stand on something, boy.
you
I'm
got
not sending them to the Lakers.
DeMar
No.
DeRozan, Jakob Pertl, and Dudu for the best player in the league, basically.
Okay, see if you change my mind. Ask me if I take that package. No, I'm not taking it.
That's crazy.
So the one thing I will say though, I say that I don't see a path. Portland is in a lot worse situation than the Spurs, and the reason why I say that is because whatever we think about DeRozan and whether we think about Aldridge, you can get something for those players. Like those are
Can you?
still, yeah. I mean, you can. They're
I don't
still
think so.
shit. Orlando was calling about DeRozan all season.
That's Orlando, but nobody's calling about 34-year-old LaMarcus Aldridge right
And
now.
that's I believe that they are. Now you might not be able to get because I know for a fact that if they put them on the market now, what you can get is the thing. But I know Pat Riley still loves Aldridge. Aldridge has a great market because the style of his game it ages. It ages like Paul Gasol. Because you're not really down there pounding. You got your little fadeaway mid-range shots. You can pick and pop. You still defend the rim.
Do you
Aldridge is,
remember the last 5 years of Pau Gasol's career?
I mean, you're talking about the end of his career, though. I'm saying that.
But it's the same thing. LaMarcus Aldridge is 34 years old. Pau Gasol played till he's 39. Last 5 years,
So don't sign him to
nothing.
a 5-year contract. Okay,
But
he's
I
still
mean,
valuable to
but
playoff
what are you giving
teams.
up for him?
I don't know.
You're not giving up anything of consequence
But
for him.
but like so this is what we gotta. And whenever you're talking about NBA, the one thing you have to do is change your mindset because it's very rare that you're getting value for the player that you have, the value that you think. What you're really trying to get is you're trying to get young picks. I mean, you're trying to get younger. You're trying to get assets, or you're trying to relieve yourself of cap space so you can go chase free agents. So either they can get draft picks for them, or they can just the cap space. They signed them to an extension. They got like 3 years left of Aldridge, I believe. You just need to
Yeah,
get
but
off that money.
the foundation of this argument is I don't buy the fact that you look at Houston. Like, is that the best package they could have got back from Capella? All because you didn't want to send him to the West? He's
Hey,
Clint Capella. Who gives a fuck? You're not sending Shaq somewhere. Like, come on now.
didn't you tell me that CP3 can't be traded? Everybody can be traded, man. You can't tell me that there's no
Well,
market for Aldridge.
in order for CP3 to be traded, you had to take back that monstrosity that Westbrook's contract is going to become. You're going to be in this
Shit.
boat one way or the other.
But it looks like I would much rather have Westbrook than a fucking 36-year-old Chris Paul.
I don't know.
Shit.
Because
right now Westbrook is the leading rebound. He's doing everything Clint Capella did. And he's 30?
I agree with that. But my point is, this whole thing about not sending the dudes to the same conference in the NBA when you play these guys 4 games, who cares?
Fuck that. I'm not doing it. I feel them. I ain't sending that shit.
So, but Spurs
look a lot better than the Blazers. Better than the Blazers, yes.
Oh, but with who? Lonnie Walker?
No,
DeJounte
man,
Murray?
I'm telling you,
Derek
can
White?
Because the thing about it is you got DeRozan.
But do they have talent on the team currently right now?
They got assets on the team that you can trade. That's the important part. You don't have to have. I mean, because if you're looking at it, Portland's more talented. The problem is you're less willing to let go of those assets because, as we talked about, you're not going to get the value. So you're not going to trade Dame because you're not going to get value. You're not going to trade CJ because you're not going to get value. Aldridge is at the end of his career. He can get value. And DeRozan, you don't give a shit about. So they're better assets to trade.
Okay, fine. Right? Let's say you get a ton of draft picks back, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Spurs have not drafted well. And the guys that they have drafted well, they gotten the fuck out of there. Davis Bertans couldn't help that team right now.
Yeah, he could, but I mean, they got screwed by that.
DeJounte Murray,
they got screwed because they were actually trying to shoot for it to go win, and then they traded him because they were trying to get Markieff Morris. And right. Markieff
Morris screwed him.
Markieff Morris would have really helped them in what they were trying to do because we've seen Markieff this year. If they had Markieff, I feel like they would be competing for the A seed.
But are you willing to bet that DeJounte Murray is going to blossom into a top 5 point guard, top 10 point guard?
No, but he's talented. They missed on thinking that he was, though. That's the problem. They really went all in. So then when he got hurt, they didn't do anything to bring anybody in there. They didn't try to draft a point guard.
I'm not convinced that Derek White's not better than him. And I think Derek White is a nice player off the bench. I don't think he's a starting caliber point guard. But again, I look up and down this Spurs roster, even with their draft picks. Like I'm not seeing when they've drafted well over the last 5 years. I'm not seeing they
don't draft well, but they do develop talent. You can never take that for them. So the thing
they did develop talent. I don't think they still do develop talent.
Forbes is out there playing, and they developed him. Derek White is out there playing. They developed him. DeJounte Murray wasn't a high draft pick. They developed him. They're developing Portal right now. I mean, they still develop talent. The problem is they have trouble with those top draft picks. They don't draft well in the top. Even getting Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard was like the 15th pick. He was a development player. They don't draft.
Correct.
They don't draft well. So, I mean, in that aspect, I agree. First round picks, they don't. But I still look at them as like a Miami situation. Like Miami looked like they were in hell for a long time too. But when you have a good organization who has a style, I believe they can come back.
So, all right, let's take LA and DeMar DeRozan out of this.
Okay.
You're looking at Marco Bellinelli,
trash.
Bryn Forbes, who is a 6'2" shooting guard. Good luck. Rudy Gay, Keldon Johnson, who's 20, so we'll wait and see on him.
He's
Trey Lyles.
Developing. Trey Lyles. Whatever, I mean, you got Trey Lyles for nothing. All these players that you're naming is whatever.
Yeah, but their whole roster's about to be whatever.
Exactly. It's a rebuild year. They tried to shoot for. That's what I'm saying. That's why I don't think they're in a bad situation because Portland is locked. They're locked in those players. They can't do anything.
But how do you get better? Because this isn't a great draft, and you aren't going to have a good draft pick. I mean, where is the scenario where San Antonio in 5 years you're like, all right, they're back?
You move DeRozan, whether it's for pick or young talent. You move LA. You make those moves as the picks and then you're going to take a step back for a year or two. You have to do it on a 5-year plan because at the point now you're not going to be better next year. I mean, you can go all in with DeRozan and LA and try to build that supporting cast with some people falling off, but that's not going to work. So you kind of got to do maybe a 2-year plan. You try to get you try to trade DeRozan, you try to and get some young players and play for the 2021 free agency and hope you can bring some players in. If not, then you're going to be like, and that's, like I said, I look at them like Miami. That's the same thing that happened with Miami. They played for the free agency for Kevin Durant, missed. Played for Gordon Hayward, missed. So then they went back to just doing their thing and developing talent, trying to build them up. And hopefully just based on your system, based on Greg Popovich's name, his relationships in the USA, you can get some people in there.
That's what I was going to say. Only thing that I respect Pop enough to give them some time to figure this out. Because, I mean, let's face it, they made the playoffs last year. This is their first bad season in 22 years.
Yeah,
So, it's not
that's what
like
I'm
this is
saying. Show them some respect, man. They ain't the fucking
and we've
Minnesota
talked about
Timberwolves.
right. Yeah, and, they've been a winning organization for 30 years. So, but I don't see it.
I, I
I think,
I just
I
believe that they have more pass because I've seen them fall before and come back up, even though they did have Tim Duncan at that point. But I think that they can come back because they have assets, and you can sell people on that. You can sell a winning team to get over the hump with LaMarcus Aldridge. Shit, even if you do some shit like send LaMarcus Aldridge to New Orleans in order to get Derek Favors and somebody else, just some draft picks or something like that, just to give him relief. Hey, send LaMarcus Aldridge over to OKC to get Steven Adams because you're just swapping contracts that's going to end faster than Aldridge, so you have cap room when free agency comes. That's the type of shit they're looking for. I'll take your contract because it's a little less, and he can help you now because New Orleans can use a LaMarcus Aldridge. He's better with
and
Zion.
and I think that they should be in a situation where you look at a way. I mean, because let's face it, San Antonio is not a free agent destination. It's just
No, it's
not.
not.
LaMarcus Aldridge is the only free agent they've gotten ever, and it broke down Pau Gasol. But if you build it the way that maybe Brooklyn did, to where it's like you just said, yeah, we'll take that. We'll take a guy like Markelle Fultz. Not that Orlando's trading him, but we'll take Fultz. We'll take D'Angelo Russell. We'll take all these guys.
Send me
and,
Kevin Knox. No,
yeah,
he's broken down. Nothing. I'll send you a second for Kevin Knox. Just give him to
yep.
me. He's trash.
And now I trust the development of my staff to get those players right. So yeah, I mean, maybe I'm being a little harsh. I can see, or you look at a guy like Chicago. I'll take Zach LaVine.
They ain't getting.
It ain't gonna happen. But
But I mean,
like
but
you and everybody else, motherfucker.
Yeah,
So,
it's moves like that. That's what I'm saying. You go take players that other people feel are broken and trust your system to develop them, and then you go and you get random second round picks because there's a lot of jewels. If you have a scouting department and they're great at scouting overseas, go get some of those talent overseas and let them sit and stuff like that.
You could argue that's what Memphis is doing right now. We'll take Justin Winslow.
Yeah, just take risk and trust that your staff can develop.
We'll take Josh Jackson.
Yeah, and just set on them and say, hey, it's going to be a 2-3 year rebuild. They just have to, this year, they weren't committed to a rebuild. They were committed on chasing the AC. If this year, and I do think they made a mistake, because I thought that they could have really got rid of Aldridge and DeRozan this year, got off them, and then said, fuck the AC.
I think they should have.
If they would have done that, I think they would have been in a better situation. But who's to say they can't do that next year, because both those players have less money on their contracts, so they still have the option to do that next year.
All right, man. Before we get out of here, let's play a little game. New segment. We'll call it something very original. Buy or sell.
Never heard of that before. What do you do in this game?
Yeah, I'm glad we came up with it. You either buy or you sell. So I'm going to throw out a couple of names, teams, topics, and you're going to tell me, do you buy this or do you sell it?
Okay, now, when we're talking about teams, are we talking long-term this year, or are you going to be specific?
I'll be specific.
All right.
First on the list, and you already kind of gave me the answer. Long-term future. Sacramento Kings.
Sale.
Buy or sell?
Hard sale. Hard sale. And I do that because it looks like they are not coordinated nowhere in the organization. The owner doesn't like what Lottie and Paige is doing. It doesn't seem like I don't know. I used to think that Bill, what's his name? Luke Walton was a good coach. I don't know if he's a good coach. They just re-signed Buddy to an extension. It doesn't look like him and Walton are getting along. He's being benched and he's being terrible. It looks like he much prefers Bogdanovich, and they have to sign him, which is going to lock
that offense kind of opens up with Bogdanovich more so than does Buddy.
They do, but I'm saying that then you should have signed Bogdanovich in the offseason.
Well, because you had to appease this dude. Like, yo, he's younger. Actually, I think they're the same age. They're both like 27, 28.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Bogdanovich is not that young. He's like 28 years old.
Yeah, and Buddy's like 35.
So that's what I'm saying. If you liked him better, then give him the extension and don't give Buddy the extension. You gave Buddy the extension in the offseason. Now you got him on the bench. And he costs way more than Bogdanovich would. I sell.
I'm on the fence about Walton. I'm willing to give him his first year here. He hasn't had Bagley for more than Has Bagley played 10 games this year? 15 games this year?
I need to look because he plays 3 games and get hurt.
I don't think he's played. And now you're talking about with Doncic versus Bagley, the Kings should have done that. Of course they should have. But there was also reports that Doncic was like, I ain't fucking going to Sacramento.
I believe he wouldn't have either.
I don't think he would have. I don't think he'd gone to Sacramento or Memphis, to be honest. But you know, so whatever. But I'm willing to. I'm going to buy the Kings for now because they do have young talent, and they've got a lot of weird, random talent. If we can get Luke Walton another year, if we can get Fox another year in this system, Boggs another year in this system, see how it works out. Do I think they're a contender in the next 3 years? No, but I think they could be a playoff team next year.
Sell.
All right. Next. Kyrie Irving. Buy or sell long-term future of Kyrie Irving. Now, I guess in this way, do you think that we've seen the best of Kyrie Irving? Do you think we can see a better version of Kyrie Irving, or have we seen what we're going to see out of him?
I think we've seen the best of Kyrie Irving. I think his body's breaking down. I think his body's always broken down. It really depends on the argument. If you think that he could be valuable for the Brooklyn Nets when KD comes back, question. Yeah, because I think he can be valuable. But saying if we've seen the best of Kyrie, I believe that we've seen the best version of Kyrie on those Cavs teams. So I buy that.
I agree with you. I would sell Kyrie. I don't see a scenario where he's ever going to be a top 10 to 15 player again. I think he can still be a good player when healthy and on the floor. A couple things about Kyrie. The dude is not a winner. Take the Cavaliers away. Like, his teams, Boston is better without him. Brooklyn plays better when he's not on the floor. Now, does that change when Kevin Durant comes back and he has to defer to Kevin Durant? Maybe. But I agree with you. I sell Kyrie. I don't think Kyrie's worth a headache. I don't think.
But the thing about Kyrie, which is funny, is we only remember people's playoff performances, and Kyrie can still be dangerous in the playoffs. So if they can do some type of load management with him next year, because Spencer Dinwiddie and Karis LeVert are perfectly capable of doing what he does to get them in the playoffs if you got a healthy KD. And then you get Kyrie for just a playoff run, and that's what he was with the Cavaliers. He was hurt most of that season too, but we remember his epic playoff run. And you get Kyrie in the playoffs with rest, then it can change. That's why it's hard for me to really sell, and that's why I say I buy it, because if he can perform during the playoffs and lead Brooklyn and Cleveland to a title, that changes the way you view him, whatever he does in the regular season.
At this point right now, today, 2020, February 25th, Kyrie Irving never played another game. Is he a Hall of Famer?
I believe so. And it's just
so wild to me, man.
I know what you're looking at, but you, like I said, when we start making
one series got him the Hall of Fame.
It was a great fucking series.
It was, but that's the Hall of Fame of one good series.
If you start going to look, because you're going to look at his stats, his overall stats are pretty good as a career. His career stats are going to look good when you look at it. Then he has a ring, which people weigh so fucking heavily, and he brought a ring to Cleveland, which people are going to weigh heavily. If you look in the Hall of Fame, and there's people that did a lot less than Kyrie. You add in, I'm pretty sure he has a gold medal. You know what I mean? His resume is going to qualify for Hall of Fame status. First ballot? Maybe not. He's going to get in, though.
Mitch Richmond got in.
And that's what I'm saying. He's going to qualify with that ring. His
T-Mac got in on the first ballot.
His epic run. He made the shot for the run. He made one of the best shots in NBA Finals history.
Should he be a Hall of Fame? Like, if we were doing an NBA Hall of Fame and we really took this shit seriously, which basketball does not do.
We can't do that unless we go through everybody. If we go through the list, maybe.
That's fair.
Because you're going to start comparing. Like I said, when you start comparing them to these motherfuckers in there, there's only I was looking at something of the top 50, and I think there's only 10 or 12 of them that have a ring, and then when you look at that, only 5 or 6 is a ring that they actually contributed to. The numbers are crazy when you look at the Hall of Fame.
I think you're right that he'll end up getting in. I don't think he should at this point. Now, I mean, he goes on and you know, like we talked about, he wins a ring with Brooklyn with KD, and they're formidable for the next foreseeable future with KD. Fine. It's crazy to me that people consider him a Hall of Famer already. That's maybe just so wild.
Maybe not first ballot, but shit, you gonna let Chris Bosh in?
I don't think Chris Bosh is a Hall of Famer.
But he's gonna get in.
And just an aside before we continue, So Chris Bosh was pissed off that he wasn't even a finalist for the 2020 class. It's like, did you see who else was getting in this year?
And if
Tim Duncan.
if they thought about letting you in, Kobe killed that.
Right. Tim Duncan, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Garnett. That's it. No one else. Do you even want to be in that class? I wouldn't. I'd have been like, hey, shit, move me to 2021. Me and Dirk will go in together.
I mean, come on, Bosh. You couldn't have thought you were going to be like a first ballot Hall of Famer.
No, sir. So many people. You talk about somebody, the definition of being split on a motherfucker. Bring up Chris Bosh's name. Okay, now let me ask you this.
Is Webber in?
No, that's what I was going to say. Chris Webber should be in if we're talking about Kyrie and Chris Bosh getting in.
Yeah, but I already said I don't think he's going to be first ballot. So
is Kevin Love a Hall of Famer?
He's gonna have to be, man. He was part of it.
If Kyrie gets in, Kevin Love better be in that damn Hall of Fame, and Chris Bosh. I mean,
we don't feel the same way about Love because even though he was on that team, we don't feel like he contributed like Kyrie did. I mean, in that series, Kyrie was the second leading scorer behind LeBron. And he hit the biggest shot of the series. You can't make
both them fools dropping 43 straight games. Yeah, I'm not diminishing Kyrie's NBA Finals series.
So when you make that argument, you're looking at a Love that was part of the series and a Kyrie but he brought a championship to Cleveland Cavaliers. They hadn't had a championship in like
60 the defense that Kevin Love locked down Steph Curry on to win that ring? Come on now, okay? Don't act like he wasn't important.
Boy, I ain't gonna start with you today. You ain't gonna get my blood pressure high.
Zach LaVine. You buying or selling Zach LaVine stock right now? If you were an NBA team, would you trade for him?
Yes.
Do you think LaVine's the issue, or do you think the Bulls are the issue?
I think the Bulls and the system are the issue. I think right now his stats are a little padded because it's on a bad team. But if you like you said, if you put him on the Spurs, you're going to see a different Zach LaVine because the only reason he's not doing those things is because they're not a good team. You know what I mean? You can say, hey, play defense, hey, rotate, hey, do this. But, man, if he's saving his energy so he can go score, he's not on a good team that's about winning. You put him with a winning team and a winning coach, the way that dude can get to the basket, the way that dude can shoot that three ball, you put him on a championship contender or a team that can build around him and put the pieces, I fully believe in Zach LaVine.
I agree with you. He's been getting shit on a lot because, the Bulls stink. That coach, Jim Boyle, is terrible.
Fuck, the Bulls can't even figure out what to do with Kobe White. They still bringing him off the bench. He had 33 in 2 consecutive games, and they're still playing Tom Santorowski and Ryan Arcado over him.
Once again, Chicago, stop hiring these dinosaur dudes. And this is not a shot at Pop, but these dudes, Tom Thibodeau, all that. There's reports of him getting the Knicks job next year.
Lord Jesus,
it's like, why? Stop. The game has passed these dudes by. They've shown that they're not willing to adapt. There's no reason Kobe White shouldn't be starting right now. He's a rookie. He's producing. I don't particularly like his game, but I think he's going to be a very good NBA player for a while.
Why, if you're trying to build toward the future, why the fuck are you playing like Santorowski? And like you should be putting the hands in Kobe White and Zach LaVine and seeing how they play together to see what you're going to do for the offseason. But the problem is they're so stuck in their stable. You don't rotate. You don't do all this stuff. You are a bad team. You need to see what you have so you'll know what you need to do in the offseason. You shouldn't be playing Thaddeus Young 32 minutes a game. That should not be happening. It should not.
God.
Thaddeus Young is playing like 30 minutes a game.
Bradley Beal, do you buy or sell the people that feel bad for Bradley Beal right now?
In which no, I sell. I mean, he took the money. He didn't have to take the money. And I know what you're saying. It's the super max, but at some point, what do you value? Do you value winning or you do value money? Because he could have forced a trade. He could have said no. He could have did a lot of different things by signing that extension so early. He didn't have to sign the extension when he signed the extension. They weren't going to pull that fucking offer off the table.
Nope.
Now, you wouldn't have got the super max, but shit, by the time he's close to putting the 10 years in where you're going to get money close to the super max anyway. Yep. That's why KD left. You could have not took that deal and for the next 3 years signed 1 or 2 year contracts, 2 years, and then till you hit your 10-year mark, and you would have been getting $35-40 million a year. At some point in time,
the classic mistake that Carmelo Anthony did, get traded to the Knicks, and then when they gave you a chance to get out of it, go sign with the Bulls, go sign with a contender. I want that 5th year. And that's exactly what Bradley Beal did. And
If I
I
see
don't
an
feel bad for you.
organization be bad for 4 years, there's no way I'm signing
Four
a five.
years, they've
I'm
been bad for a long time.
Yeah, they have. I mean, but they were decent. I thought in the first couple of years with John Wall. So I guess if you truly believe in John Wall as your partner coming back healthy, maybe. But I haven't seen anything to prove that they're gonna be even decent when John Wall comes back. So unless they got some type of plan to get some type of stupid package for John Wall and then build that whole team around Bill, that's still taking 3 to 4 years off your career playing for a bad squad. And I don't care if you're hitting 50 and 55 a game, which he is on some type of stupid tear right now. I think last night he hit 55. The night before that he hit like 53.
53. Yep.
Man, can you imagine him going to somewhere else? Man, you could be playing with Jimmy Butler and Bam right now.
Yeah. I mean, legitimately, shit, you could be playing anywhere for a contender right now, and hey, I don't feel bad for you. Um, Last one, Colin Sexton. Buy or sell the stock of Colin Sexton as a starting caliber, top 25 player in the league.
If you would have asked me this last week, I would have said sell. But now I feel like it was
a
the
trap.
coach. Yeah.
That's a trap, my friend.
Yeah.
Good job.
I'm buying because I've been hard on Sexton all year. And then Beeline quits and he looks like a totally different player. He's playing within the system. They're moving the ball. That offense looks better. And he looks
They just was not fucking with that dude.
yeah, they just doing whatever they want. But now that they got JB Bickerstaff, the last 2 games, I've been watching him and Garland play together, and they're moving the ball. He's
Even
playing
Kevin
within
Porter
offense.
blew up last night.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm gonna step back on Sexton. I'm gonna buy him for the future.
That was a trick question because I was gonna see if he was paying attention because you and I both have said the same thing. Like, yo, I think this dude might be a backup.
Yeah.
And over the past couple games, I like what I see out of him. I mean, Kevin Porter started off slow out the All-Star break, but he blew up last night and he was cooking a couple weeks before.
And
The All-Star break.
what they're doing is what we've been saying. They've been playing Colin Sexton a lot more off the ball. They've taken him off the ball. They play Garland at point guard, and then when Kevin Porter comes in, he's the ball handler, and you just let Colin Sexton run through, spot up, and now he looks a lot better like that. And when he gets the rebound, then you just let him go to the rack. So I like his role right now. It just shows that the game had Beeline was not prepared for the NBA, and Colin Sexton, I'm gonna reserve judgment. I'm gonna back off of what I was saying before and see. Now you still have a 6'2" shooting guard, so you got that. But we're playing in the new NBA, small ball. It might not hurt you that much.
All right, spitballing before we finish here. This isn't by ourselves. Just give me your thoughts. OKC's future, bright, too much going on. Where do you see them in 5 years?
I like where OKC's going. I like their draft picks. They're an organization that have shown that they can draft and develop talent. And I like what I heard listening to Chris Paul when he was talking about Shy. He's really taking the time to develop him, teach him, and show him what it takes to win. They'll probably get off Gallinari, and they'll probably be able to get off of Chris Paul at some point. No contract is untradeable. I love these dudes for the future.
And SGA was worth it. I mean, if you really just look at what they did to the Clippers in a deal that I'm pretty sure that if you'd have asked OKC if they would have redone that Paul George deal, 9 out of 10 times, I bet they say no.
I think that if they offer that shit, I don't know how you say no to that deal.
No. Sorry, I mean when they got Paul George from Indiana.
Oh yeah. I don't think
I would,
that deal.
I would be willing to bet that they take a mulligan on that one.
Yeah, they blessed them because they re-signed them too. Yep. Clippers did them a huge favor for the future.
When the Clippers came a calling, I guarantee you, Stan Presti looked around and was like, yo, this is a get out of jail free card for a dude that's always hurt, and this core probably isn't it. We just got fucking beat by Portland.
And it also allowed them to be able to trade Westbrook and not get the backlash from the fans.
Yep. So, last thing before we get out of here. Would you be interested in a play-in tournament in the NBA?
Yes.
For the playoff seeds?
Yes, for the 8 seed.
For the 7 and 8 seeds. So basically what they're doing is locking the top 6 in both conferences, and now you have a play-in for the seeds that are what was it? I think 7 through 10.
Yeah, so you're talking about 7, 10, 8, and 9.
Yep. Or there were some talks about 7 through 12, but nobody wants to do that. Nah. So 7 through 10, they play a one-game play-in tournament for the 7th and 8th seeds. Would you be more in favor of that or more in favor of a regular season tournament?
I'm
In
more
season tournament.
I'm more in favor of the play-in tournament, especially if you do it in a one-game format, because now you're getting into your March
Correct.
Madness style. Because you're never going to be able to do one game throughout the playoffs, but you're trying to do something to drum up that first round. So yeah, I would do a play-in tournament, but I also say in doing that, you're gonna have to cut that shit down from 7 games in the first round. So I think they're gonna have to bring that shit back down to
Back
five
to five.
games,
Yep.
just so the schedule works in that same time frame. But I'm totally for that. Take the first round down from 7, put it at 5, and give me a play-in tournament, and that's gonna increase the excitement because you're gonna get a lot of upsets in that. I can guarantee that.
Now, does that devalue the regular season even more?
Uh, Maybe. Yes, but it's still a one-game play-in. You still don't want to be in a situation where you're trying to play in. I think it probably makes the bottom half of that a lot more exciting because now you're not just coasting because you don't want to be a 7 seed now. Now you're trying to get into that 6
Gotta
seed, so
get
you're going to
six
play
seed.
more games because you don't want to get in a play-in tournament with an NBA team. Because if you're a
Yep.
7 seed and you're playing a 10 seed, it's not that much separation as you think. And if you're
Because
playing
could
for
you imagine New Orleans going against a 6 seed? Can you confidently say that they wouldn't beat Utah right now?
shit,
Or
right
sorry,
now, yeah, but
if
right
it's
now,
seven
if
seed
yeah, right
Dallas,
now, if you ended the season right now where you are, and you like you said, the 7 seed Dallas versus New Orleans at 9,
I'm probably
even
gonna take New Orleans.
even if you get a Greg Popovich team,
Spurs
Memphis
team.
Grizzlies versus the Spurs, right
Yep.
now, you know what I'm saying? Like that's
Can't
gonna
say the Spurs wouldn't win that.
yeah, so I mean, yeah, you can look at it as I don't think it devalues the bottom half of that. I think it increases the value of the bottom half to know that you're never secure, even if you get in the 8th seed. Now up top, I would say if you're a top 3 team, you're never gonna stop it anyway. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna
Correct.
rest, they're gonna play for championships. What you're trying to do is you're trying to increase the quality of games. Like, okay, you can deal with Kawhi Leonard sitting out because they're still gonna be a good team. But now that you're breasting Brandon Ingram 2 games for the All-Star game, you're
Can't
too
do that.
comfortable. Too
Yep.
comfortable.
And I'd be for that. And the only other thing I'd be because I started thinking more about the in-season tournament. It's not gonna matter. I mean, there's for what. And the only other tournament I would be interested in besides a playing tournament is a draft pick tournament. Where the teams that don't make the playoffs they play for some type of draft order. And I'm not saying maybe you get the number 1 pick, although if you're the Spurs in this situation or Portland, you're like, well, shit, let me
Now,
go ahead and slide back.
hey, I'm
And
I'm all for a tournament in season if we're talking about that. If we take away the balls and the lottery of who get the first, and you got to start winning that shit, and number 1 pick goes to whoever wins. Now the problem is you're gonna start keeping sorry teams sorry.
correct, that's where
So
that's because you get those 7th and 8th seed teams who are like, fuck it, I'd rather get the pick anyway. So,
yeah. Well, I'm
uh,
talking about even in the tournament because if your team is bad, can you say that you can beat the Spurs? Spurs say, I'll just go ahead and slide back and win this mid-season tournament to get the number 1 pick.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, all right, man, that's what I got. Anything before we get out of here?
Nothing much for me. I'm good.
Cool. All right, guys, we'll be back next week. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode. You can check it out on the 2smartnetwork.com. Go check out the page, man. A lot of good shit coming up on there. We keep saying we're going to throw a blog on there. We will. Black people time. So we'll get to it eventually. But if you need to reach out to us, you can hit us up on Gmail, 2smartnetwork@gmail.com.
Yeah, the 2Smart Network at gmail.com. Hold on. Yeah, but we actually have emails for our website. I got to get them, though.
Oh, hell. See, we can't do nothing right.
But just go to 2smartnetwork.com. You'll be able to reach out to us and send emails, or you can catch us on Instagram at 2SmartDummies or at 2SmartNetwork. The number 2 Smart Network.
That's it. That's all.
Peace.
Peace.